Shall we go? Harinder, are we live? Harinder, please confirm.
Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Good afternoon to all the delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great privilege and honor for ASSOCHAM to welcome this afternoon Shri Ajit Doval ji, the National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister of India, for this very, very important new series of lectures, which ASSOCHAM starts with this day. Thank you very much, Shri Doval ji, for joining us this afternoon, and a very, very warm welcome to you once more. We are also joined by Vineet Agarwal ji, who is the President of ASSOCHAM. I also take pleasure in inviting our Senior Vice President, Mr. Sumant Sinha, and Shri Avinash Pandey ji from ABB Network, who join us this afternoon as well. Thank you so much, all of you. It's indeed a pleasure and honor to host this lecture. Swami Vivekananda ji is an important personality of this country, which somewhere connects with, I wouldn't say only the youth, but I think all the youthful young Indians of this country, starting from the age of a few years in the early days to as old as you can be. I think everybody has some connect or some form that you have been with him. He has said, arise, awake, and do not stop until the goal is reached. I think it is extremely important, and if we apply it to ourselves every time, you will find it gives us the energy. And especially during this pandemic, that when we are talking about revival, restarting, and how do we get back this country onto the wheels of economic growth, and how do we get out of this, the real black swan that has hit us. He's been a proponent of Vedanta and yoga, and therefore I'm sure a lot will get spoken by what Swamiji has done, but I think by the other speakers. But most importantly, the role of ASSOCHAM as an industry chamber who works across the nation, across the world, to ensure there is growth, and we reach out the best of the knowledge and avenues for people within this country, and we see ourselves playing a lead role in this. We have multiple series which have been running for years, and with this day today, we start this new lecture series of Swami Vivekananda, and this would give us an opportunity to learn from lessons that we have from his life and apply them with different lenses, whichever may apply to me or to you, to anybody else who listens to it. But I think each one of them tell us how to reflect on his learnings and how to take our business, our jobs, whether it is a student or a person who's working somewhere, forward. With these few words, I would like to invite Vineet Agarwal ji to formally make the welcome address. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sood. Good afternoon, Shri Ajit Doval ji, National Security Advisor to the PMO, Shri Sumant Sinha ji, Senior Vice President at ASSOCHAM, Shri Avinash ji, CEO at ABB Network, Shri Sood ji, and all my industry colleagues, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of ASSOCHAM, I would like to heartily welcome you for this inaugural Swami Vivekananda Memorial Lecture Series. As Mr. Sood just mentioned, ASSOCHAM is one of those entities that has helped Indian industries, trades, and businesses since our inception almost more than 100 years now. We have been working tirelessly towards looking at how the economy and the trade, how we can support the larger community, as well as be a bridge between industry and government. We've always been having nation building as the top thing in our agenda. And this particular lecture that we have started today, this inaugural lecture would be to aim to honor Swami Vivekananda's legacy by highlighting innovative ideas for human development, education, skilling, and healthcare to promote equality. It would also focus on creating cultural and spiritual linkages between India and the world, promoting our heritage and traditional practices. At this time, Swami Vivekananda's teachings can help bring order to the chaos and encourage us to look to the Indian heritage as a binding force for global collaborations. I'm humbled to be speaking here about Swami Vivekananda ji, especially in front of Shri Ajit Doval ji, who understands his great guru far better than any of us here. Swami Vivekananda ji was more than just a spiritual leader. He was a prolific thinker and a writer, social reformer, a true philosopher, a great orator, a traveler, and a passionate patriot. His universal brotherhood and self-awakening message continues to be relevant today, more than 150 years after his birth. He is indeed a great source of inspiration to me personally. And on that personal note, I would like to share something about my visit to the Vivekananda Rock Memorial. Sir, exactly 4 years ago, almost exactly to the date, I had the opportunity to visit Vivekananda Rock Memorial in Kanyakumari. I had last gone there as a child, as a 12-year-old child, with my parents and my brother. Like then, this time, my two kids, who are actually the same ages as when my brother and I went to the Vivekananda Rock Memorial, accompanied me. As it is known, Swami Vivekananda attained enlightenment on that rock. That memorial is really what binds us together as Indians. It is not just a memorial, but a testament of one man's belief and courage to think beyond his times and envision a future for the world emerging from the basic tenets of Indian philosophy and value system. It is one place every Indian should surely visit in their lifetime. It is what I feel, our Char Dham, our Mecca, our Medina, our Parliament. This is one of those places that we have to visit as Indians to really feel what some of these great thinkers have been doing. So in this context, I'm very proud to share that today's lecture is inaugurated by none other than Shri Ajit Doval ji, India's National Security Advisor. I will not go to the deep introduction, but I can surely tell you his energy and dynamism is just absolutely phenomenal. And one of he carries a lot of national secrets, but one of his secrets is his age. And I'm not going to reveal that, but it is that which surprises everyone and just amazes me every single time when I think about the energy and dynamism of Shri Ajit Doval. I'm confident that this lecture series would inspire people to emulate Swami Vivekananda's teachings, and the audience would be motivated by Shri Dovalji's address. Thank you.
Thank you, Vineet. Thank you very much for those. Just to also add, which I thought I would at that point in time when I started speaking, but I think it's a very important day. And incidentally, today is also the Prakrama Divas, where we celebrate 125 years at the birth of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, equally important and selfless person who did selfless service for the nation. So we would also like to acknowledge his contributions as well. With these few words, may I now invite Mr. Avinash Pandey ji.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Respected Shri Ajit Doval ji. You know, once he told me that a good strategy is the one where execution is flawless. And so is Swami Vivekananda, who said that if you have a mission, one mission that you keep for yourself against which you put your entire energy, that's how those mission is successful. And that's what I see you, sir, every day in our life doing, accomplishing new goals for India. Vineet Agarwal ji, Deepak, Sood, Mr. Sumant Sinha, thank you very much for calling me here. The past year has been extremely challenging for all of us. In our living history, we have not seen something like this. And we are only hoping that 2021 is going to be more promising and a safer world for all of us, bringing peace, joy, and love and good business for all of us in our life. You know, you're about Swami Vivekananda Memorial Lecture I came across through one of your communication. And while I do not know how many of you know, but ABP network and ABP group is very deeply involved with Ramakrishna Mission and Swami Vivekananda. Personally, in my life, in every room of mine, including this room from where I'm speaking, there is a photograph of Swami Vivekananda and some books about him. Our entire families and entire ABP network is dedicated to the work of Ramakrishna Mission and Swami Vivekananda. With that deep association, we thought that, you know, what Swami Vivekananda has said once, that there is no better teacher than your own soul. We thought that it is our soul call to be associated with this particular lecture, and I'm deeply honored to be called here. ABP Network, as you know, has always believed in hallmark of credibility and ensuring a fearless and authentic journalism, which can stand the standard of time. It is also, I was very pleasantly surprised to know that ASSOCHAM is completing 100 years. Our ABP group is going to complete 100 years this year. And what a association through this lecture that we are getting together here. We also believe that, you know, as Vivekananda mission was to propagate Indian values all across the world, we have made our mission that will touch every Indian lives, no matter where you are in the world, through news, information, and entertainment. And with these daring spirits, that we are going to swim the tide of all the difficulties that you come across in the world in communicating the Indian values to the rest of the world. So with this thought, my sincere appreciation goes to and generosity of ASSOCHAM to bring us into this partnership. And thank you very much for calling me here. I'm looking forward to listening to Shri Ajit Doval ji on this memorable day.
Avinash, thank you very much. That was very nice to hear that you also are in the club of 100+ years. So thank you very much. The Honorable Prime Minister talking to us a few weeks back at the ASSOCHAM Foundation Week did mention about this, and he was talking to us about the 27 years that we have going forward and how we can connect. And I think what we will learn from Shri Ajit Doval ji today is going to be the guiding principle for ASSOCHAM and its members, who are 4.5 lakhs across this country, as to how we can actually make this journey and obviously reflect on the learnings from there. Vineet ji did talk about Mr. Doval and his experiences, so I'm going to give beyond a little more detailed description about it. I ask him to Mr. Doval, 45, and has a master's degree from the University of Agra. He is the IPS batch of 1968 and spent 3 decades with IB, India and the world. He's a very celebrated officer as a police. He was the youngest person to get the Indian Police Medal. Also given, and most of us know, Defense Awards of the country. Graduate from the National Defense College, has been the international president of the International Association of Chiefs of Police for Asia and Pacific region in 2004. Post-retirement, he has been more active and more active, and many active words for him. He has national security, and we are so very proud of him. And as an Indian, I think we all are cherished man. And national security and strategic thinkings. And ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you Shri Ajit Doval ji, the National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister of India. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Shri Sood, for your very kind words. I really feel humbled to be here. But it's good, that is a great occasion. And to be part of this venture is something one can really feel proud of. Shri Vineet Agarwal ji, President of ASSOCHAM, Shri Sumant Sinha, Senior Vice President, Shri Avinash Pandey, CEO ABP Network, Shri Deepak Sood, Secretary General of ASSOCHAM, distinguished members of India's oldest Chamber of Trade and Industry, esteemed ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to compliment ASSOCHAM for its thoughtful initiative of starting an annual Swami Vivekananda Memorial Lecture from this year. I am sure this series of lectures will help Indian business community to ideate on new ideas to build a strong, confident and vibrant India. This dream Swamiji cherished and lived for. I feel privileged to be invited to speak at this solemn occasion. Thank you very much for that. Friends, in popular perception, spiritualism is an antithesis of materialism. Business, industry, trade are all seen as activities associated with materialism. Swami Vivekananda, being a Hindu monk, you may think that he had very little to do with materialism. And he would be probably critical of it. But Swami Vivekananda viewed materialism and spiritualism different from this conventional prototype. He took a very holistic view of life, and for him, playing football to build your body was more important than meditation. He told the youth, you will be nearer to heaven playing football than studying the Bhagavad Gita. He well understood that every individual, society or nation had to meet its basic material requirements to exist and progress. No spiritual elevation or intellectual growth was possible when the very survival stood threatened. His crusade was more against hunger, poverty, want, ignorance, and destitution than spiritual degradation. Our industry and business plays a seminal role in material well-being of the nation. They are the prime movers of creating conditions that lead to order and development of the individual and the society. Let me relate a story that might give you an insight as to how Swami Vivekananda's mind worked. Way back in 1893, there was a ship named Empress of India sailing from Yokohama in Japan to Vancouver. Swamiji was on his way to Chicago and he was to travel by train from Vancouver to Chicago. In the ship, there was a saffron-clad young Hindu monk and a distinguished rich Parsi businessman traveling together to Chicago. As it was a long voyage, both being Indians, the Parsi gentleman started talking with the unknown monk. The man inquired, why was he going to US? The Parsi gentleman lamented that he wanted to make steel in India, as all raw materials were available in India in plenty. But they were all exported out. And India was forced to import steel made out of its own raw materials. He said when he made a proposal to this effect to a British steel manufacturer, he contemptuously laughed at him, saying if India could make steel, we could have it for our breakfast in the UK. The Parsi gentleman felt humiliated, but was determined. He decided to approach American industry and hence this voyage. This monk, with his contemplative clarity, told the Parsi gentleman, India needs science and technology. If you can afford to open a world-class center of excellence in the science and technology, that will help India become resourceful and more rich. The two parted after the journey and probably never met again. But the two in their own way revolutionize the future, the fate and the future of India. The most interesting part of the story is a letter dated 23rd November 1898 that the Parsi gentleman wrote to the Hindu monk after finding out where he was. He finally could reach him, and he informed the monk of his conversation, and he said he has now the resources to start an institute of excellence for science, and he desired to establish this institute and suggested that if the monk could head it. Though the monk never came to head it, but Indian Institute of Sciences in Bangalore got established. The first offer made to head it was to that monk. Do you know the Parsi gentleman was the pride of India, Shri Jamshedji Tata, founder of the country's steel industry, and the monk was Swami Vivekananda, who rekindled the dormant spirit of an enslaved India. Shri Jamshedji Tata is no more, but 33 million tons of steel that is rolled out by Tata Steel throughout the world, and the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore makes him immortal. This depicts the intertwined relationship between materialism and spiritualism. Swami Vivekananda energized millions of Indians and tried to awaken their faith, their confidence, and their belief in themselves and their destiny. He gave the clarion call, and I would like to repeat what Secretary General Sood just said. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is achieved. This is a very, very powerful slogan that he gave to his countrymen who were in the slumber of slavery. He gave people the confidence and courage to believe in themselves that led to India's freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, coronavirus has hit and shaken the world as never before. Not that more deadly pandemics like the Spanish flu of 1918 or bubonic plague of the 14th century had not occurred before, but the geographical expanse, economic fallout, and psychological impact of COVID-19 has been unprecedented. Today's world of high connectivity and global opportunity also makes it a world of very high vulnerability. The revolution in information and communication technologies, while providing us access to information at lightning speed, is also able to create panic and decimate disinformation equally fast with devastating effect. These are the realities of the new world that we all will have to cope with. We have to evolve strategies to maximize our gains and minimize our losses. Changes unroll new settings and create new circumstances. COVID-19 is one such circumstance. Like a good strategist, let us not fritter away our energies lamenting on its evils and the downside. Let us focus on exploring new opportunities, developing new plans, and working out doctrines, bring about changes in our lifetime, and adapt to the new circumstances. The business and trade will have to reorient itself and look for new opportunities. They have to learn to change faster than the change itself. To succeed, they have to remain a step ahead of the expected change. By 2030, 600 million people in India are expected to reside in urban homes. The new urban complexes will have to ensure that the industrial, economic, and residential centers decongest themselves. I learned that many people these days are moving to the farmhouses. Can it be a harbinger of a new trend? Can we make the villages the new hubs of our economic activity? Can they be developed with better connectivity, infrastructure, schools, medical facilities, and employment opportunities? The entrepreneur class may find that it makes a good economic sense as the cost of infrastructure development borne by them in the long run would be adequately covered by availability of the cheap land, lower overhead costs, cheaper labor, improved lifestyle, and avoidance of environmental degradation. The threats of climatic change, environmental degradation, pollution are realities that the world will have to cope with. Sooner or later, the entrepreneur class will have to factor it in while making their business decisions and plans. The global environment also is likely to change, and new laws may come into existence where adherence to the climate friendly and environment friendly industry and this may become absolutely necessary. To survive, we will have to keep the forests alive, the rivers flowing, glaciers stopped from melting away. We cannot see our coming generations breathing the polluted air, hit by water scarcity, and battling the diseases consequented by environmental decay. Friends, the most enduring message of COVID-19 is that only the well-being of all will ensure the survival of all. Those who are privileged and better off, who have funds and resources, should expand their embrace so that it touches the lives of maximum people. This is what Swami Vivekananda said. If you want to find God, serve man. Doing service to others is the way of realizing oneself. The pandemic has accelerated trends of uncertainty and flux in the global order. The buzzword, even among global economies, is of diversification, managing new realities, reindustrialization, reshoring production, supply chain resilience, supporting SMEs, ecological protection, and safeguarding digital sovereignty. Opportunities presented by these emerging trends are immense, and we should explore them. In keeping with the focus of the government on developing our border areas, J&K, Ladakh, and the Northeast, the private sector must also reorient their approach towards these regions, not just for tourism, but even in manufacturing, information technology, and establishing transshipment hubs. Connectivity projects initiated by the government as part of its Act East policy to connect with the ASEAN countries provide the gateway to engage with the larger Indo-Pacific economy, which is emerging as one of the fastest growing economic regions. GDP of ASEAN countries grew 33 times since the grouping got established in 1967. Besides geographical proximity, India has many natural advantages in these countries, including age-old historical and civilization links and our close diplomatic and political links with them. As the geostrategic environment becomes more regionally focused, India's growing multi-sectoral cooperation with the Middle East will provide several new opportunities in the fields of infrastructure, investment, trade, tourism, and establishing third country joint ventures. We receive the highest amount of foreign remittances from the Middle East, which is also home to the largest Indian diaspora abroad. Nearly 70 million Indians are living and working in these areas. 7 million. I beg your pardon, 70 lakh. As in diplomacy, our business collaborations with these regions should be predicated on the principles of fair practices, transparency, and openness. India needs to be branded as a country of ethical business practices. International businessmen's engagement with their Indian counterparts should add to their respect and confidence in India. Unfortunately, sometimes it does not happen. Friends, while the external security environment may continue to pose challenges in the coming years, it is gratifying to see that our internal security situation has witnessed considerable improvement and stability. This lays a solid foundation for ushering in faster national development and unleashing India's true potential. New hubs of economic activity are emerging throughout the length and breadth of the country. State governments are competing with each other to attract investments and provide new incentives. These opportunities must be seized. Multitude of reforms have been brought about by the government to accelerate the pace of economic growth. Many of the bottlenecks have been removed. Some of the changes may have some short-term problems, but in the long run, they will immensely benefit the country. Forbidden sectors like space and defense production have been opened up for the private sector. Atmanirbhar Bharat is not only a slogan, it is a new window of opportunity for our indigenous business clan to grow and prosper. Ladies and gentlemen, economic indicators can only go up from where we are now. No one can stop India's surge ahead. The question is at what pace? We had periods of slow growth that prevented us from achieving our potential. We have to make up for the lost time. And the country's business community has to play the lead role in that. The IMF recently predicted that Indian GDP will grow at the rate of 8.8% from this year onwards. Right innovations and prioritizations of sector will help us leverage our strength, which include the youth bulge, our globally competitive human capital, immense market potential, technological advancement, and adaptability. Added to this is our increasing international clout and diplomatic prowess. I think new areas of economic activity will emerge in the post-COVID period. But even some of the old ones probably will get further strengthened. Construction, healthcare, biotech, tourism, fiber optics, information technology, innovation technology, and digital currency are some sectors that will hold a lot of promise in the coming years. Indian capabilities in healthcare and medicine, pharma, vaccine, telemedicine, areas like weather forecasting, remote sensing, and ICT-driven social services need to be leveraged. We have the potential to become global leaders in some of these areas. It is through adversity that we learn, and we must learn from it. Adverse circumstances and challenges unite people in heroism, in which each man feels himself responsible for all his fellow citizens. Let each Indian today feel for every other Indian. That is my message to you today. If we do not sail together, We are destined to sink together. We are doomed to sink together. History is a cruel teacher. If you do not learn from it, it relegates you back to the dustbin of history. This country has suffered a lot and suffered for centuries. If you do not unite and work in unison, history may take its revenge. Let's all join hands to build a new and strong India. And thank you very much once again to Shri Agarwal and everybody here from the ASSOCHAM and Avinash Pandey for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Doval. Those were. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. I think there's a huge opportunity that is in front of India, and each one and every one of us are looking forward to making this real thing happen. And I have with me Mr. Sumant Sinha, who would now take over from me. Mr. Sumant Sinha, may I request you to share your thoughts and please help us close the session as well. Thank you.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Deepak. Shri Ajit Doval ji, thank you so much for taking the time out from a busy schedule and agreeing to speak to us. I think the topic of Swami Vivekananda ji is very, very relevant to our current times as well. Of course, his messages and his teachings are timeless, but I think there are certain times when it becomes even more apt. And I think today, in the midst of all the adversity that we face, that you've talked about so eloquently in your speech, I think we are in the middle of some of those times when, of course, it's not just India, but the world as a whole that is reeling from the whole issue of COVID. I think Swami Vivekananda ji's message was that of creating a strong, confident, and vibrant India. And I think that is the path that we're all embarked on. Certainly, the government is working very hard in that direction. The whole, I think, clarion call for Atmanirbhar Bharat is in some ways striving for that same end destination, which, of course, as we know, is a journey that we have to continue to be embarked on for a long period of time. Sir, some of the things that you talked about are very interesting. The anecdote you told about the Hindu monk and the Parsi gentleman and the genesis of the Indian Institute of Science. I think that was certainly, it was a new story for me. I had not heard that before, but it was very interesting to see, in fact, how some of these things from a historical context got created. It was also so interesting, sir, to see how you linked the messaging of Swami Vivekananda ji to the current construct of our business, where you talked about the fact that material wealth is as important as spiritual wealth. And you talked about the role of industry in trying to create that material wealth, which is so important for us. You talked I think, nicely, you sketched out for us all the challenges that are there right now. Of course, COVID-19 is the most important of those. You talked about the issue about how do we get into the area of village development and climate change and environment being a very important issue. And then he talked, very nicely about how some of the opportunities are there in so many different areas. And I think that really is something that we in industry have to work on because, as you rightly said, India is standing at the cusp of very rapid growth in the future across a whole bunch of different dimensions and areas. And therefore, it is incumbent upon Indian industry to take advantage of some of those types of opportunities that are there. Certainly, you said that state governments are competing right now, and there are many new sectors that are opening up. And I think, as I said earlier, we in industry should really strive harder and take advantage of that. Again, in the words of Swamiji, arise, awake, and act. This is the time, I think, for us to act. And as you said, act in adversity is really when the tough get going. And this is really what we have to do all together. You very rightly said, either we sail together or we sink separately. And I think this is the time when we all have to get together between government, industry, civil society, all the stakeholders that are involved in this great activity of India's development and making sure that every single Indian gets a place in the sun, and we ensure that there is rapid development for all. So I think that is the central message that you left with us. Thank you so much, sir, for taking the time again from a busy schedule and giving us these very nice messages. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Sumantji. I think we have a small film that ABV has to play for 30 seconds, so let that do that. But sir, we are getting a lot of questions from people for you. But what I am doing in interest of time, that I will forward all those to you for you to deal with it at the appropriate time, and appropriate answers could be issued by you. Thank you very much once again, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
It's a bit of a challenge.
There was a sound problem, so I can tell you the final line was that सब बांधे सबको एक धागे आपको रखे आगे.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
And one
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
memento present time and president would like to call upon be convenient, and would personally hand it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Keep that for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.